So with that, we're a couple minutes in. Want to go ahead and be respectful of everyone's time. For your sake, for anyone, I see a lot of people out there that I know. This is fantastic. And if I haven't yet had a chance to meet you, my name is Ben Herring, and I am the Director of Partnerships here with CUCollaborate. We'll be going over several things that pertains to the actions that we've been taking to support credit unions and credit union leagues throughout the country around, really just telling our story specific to what we need to do on the advocacy front. Quick agenda. I'm going to provide an intro overview of who CUCollaborate is, what we do, and why we're even doing this in the first place. And then we'll just dive in on how we've been supporting advocacy throughout the country and how we're hoping to support your efforts as we kind of look down the barrel of uncertainty here on some of the political fronts. Definitely going to talk about impact reporting as it is a mechanism that we're leveraging to help credit unions in leveraging their data to tell their story, to benchmark, and to ensure that they're abiding by the things that we're saying. The people helping people component of credit unions. How do we really action that? And so we'll talk a little bit about what we've been doing and what we think credit unions might want to consider. And then we will also get a little bit into the weeds around the logistics around Project Zip Code and how to leverage our system and our tools to be able to process data over to America's Credit Unions Project Zip Code initiative. A little bit about CUCollaborate. We are a data and analytics CUSO. I'm really excited to say that we are a CUSO now. We have credit unions that are investors in our organization, and we are really focused on credit union growth. And so we focus on growth and impact through our products and services, and really we're here to help credit unions adapt and succeed long-term as we kind of offer innovation, insights, and know-how on how to help credit unions do that. The main things that we do drive greater impact. So whether it's through performance analytics, helping you to achieve some of the strategic initiatives that you're hoping to achieve. We do a lot of consulting. We build software that helps credit unions drive greater impact within their communities. That really leads us into the second bullet here is serving underserved communities. And we help credit unions through what we like to call beneficial regulatory programs, or what credit unions know of as the low income designation, CDFI certification. I'll get more into that here in a moment. But really abiding by your mission of people helping people and serving marginalized and communities that are not being served by kind of the traditional banking sector. I think credit unions really do epitomize what it means to support communities that may not have access to some of the banking products that they should be. And then, of course, kind of like expanding credit unions' reach, growing credit unions' ability to serve members within their community, and maybe even expanding the communities that they serve through strategic initiatives, software, et cetera. Our main areas of expertise, we kind of have a lot of them. I would say our bread and butter are really field of membership and charter, field of membership expansions and charter conversions. We've also been helping a lot of groups start new credit unions, so it's been exciting to see the development of and the support of credit unions by other credit unions. As I mentioned, low income designation, CDFI certification, really helping credit unions reach deeper into their communities. Branching, helping credit unions envision what the future is going to look like for their credit union through kind of growth strategies, marketing, branding, and what we like to call like digital member acquisition or membership eligibility, and making sure that the folks that are coming to your channels are becoming members at your credit union. So kind of with that, want to go and switch gears on to really what today's webinar is all about, which is CUCollaborate's positioning of supporting advocacy. And really we're doing this hand in hand with leagues across the country. We want to continue to expand what we do in this vein. And so kind of wanted to make a plug out there for one of our newest league partnerships, the New York Credit Union Association, obviously serving credit unions in the state of New York and that region. Shout out to our friends over there at the NYCUA. And one of the leaders over at their organization kind of really put this in a way that I really wanted to highlight as it pertains to what we do. This is a partnership, and the reason why we do what we do at CUCollaborate is to kind of more closely align with advocacy organizations across our credit union movement. And really, ultimately, this is about our collective movement and the mission of credit unions so that we can ensure long-term viability, sustainability, and growth on into credit unions' future. And so we're going to talk a lot about kind of like what the importance is here, but wanted to share that and just, again, a big thank you out to all the credit union leagues, some of which I'll be mentioning here as well today. So in our league partnerships, what we really are striving to do is bring a data-driven approach to advocacy. We'll be sharing impact reporting, how we leverage our software to provide data to Project Zip Code, as well as demographics dashboards that we have, our mapping tools, all the things that we've built around credit union advocacy to leverage the membership data that you have to tell your story. And then that goes nicely into supporting the credit union mission. We're doing this to help you better convey why be a part of a not-for-profit cooperative financial institution, right? And so what does people helping people mean? We'll talk a little bit about that here in a bit. And then, of course, impacting the community abroad, as well as increasing participation with credit unions within their state, regional, and, of course, national associations. So why care about this? I bet you all are very familiar with this movement. And if you haven't seen yet, it sounds like tax exemption status is again in the conversation on the legislative front, and America's credit unions are kind of going again hard at the "Don't Tax My Credit Union" campaign. Definitely, if you haven't been participating yet or are unfamiliar with this campaign, happy to share some of those resources out. It is an initiative through your National Credit Union Association, America's Credit Unions, and really the point being to protect credit unions' tax exemption status. As you know, we all know that it's a big reason why credit unions can kind of do the things that you all do. Some of the things that I think are being talked about in this, and I think why it's so critical is so why protect tax for credit unions, and why protect credit unions in this way? What does it mean? So we're going to talk about impact reporting and the importance of protecting credit union status here and what we do in our communities. But you know, some of the big pieces of data here are really just like talking about membership at credit unions. Right now, I think it's like 43% of people in our country are members of credit unions. That's almost half of the people in our country are members of credit unions. So we need to clearly have a vested interest in supporting credit unions. And we have 140 million credit union members throughout the country. And so that's a big number to talk about. And what does that look like spread out across our various different geographies? We'll talk about that in a moment too. I think one of the things that the Don't Tax My Credit Union site is talking about, one of which I thought was pertinent for today, was kind of talking about the support of the credit union movement across voters. And it sounds like about 60% of voters across the country are in support of preserving our credit union tax status. And so as we're having these conversations with legislators, we really need to hone in on the why around credit unions. And that's really where we're trying to get to when it comes to the Project Zip Code initiative, as well as impact reporting. So yeah, as I mentioned, I'm going to talk a lot about Project Zip Code today. and really kind of like the why around this effort. And so Project Zip Code is an initiative through America's Credit Unions to essentially line up your members within your congressional districts and state legislative districts and counties, so that when we talk with our legislators, we can have some very clear numbers of the impact that you have within your localized communities. So when we're saying things like, you need to support us on this initiative, it's helpful for them to understand how many of their constituents this is going to impact, right? And so clearly this then props up and supports our federal and state advocacy efforts, and puts numbers around what it is that we do. And so some of the main reasons kind of for this program is, to help of course, influence policy decisions, and showcase, the member representation that you all have within your communities, enhancing our advocacy by kind of like showing your credit union's economic impact, I think, is something that really resonates with legislators and people making decisions on this front. And of course, when it comes to membership insights, and tying those specifically to legislative districts, I think is really going to be important as we tell and craft our story. And so some of the things that I'm hoping that you're going to take away from today is kind of how to leverage our platform to submit data to Project Zip Code. We'll get into some granularity there. And then also, we're going to give you some added benefit to doing that. So by leveraging our platform, we'll provide you with some custom impact reporting and insights around your members that you might use to craft that story and to tell your credit union's narrative. There's a big advocacy event coming up for credit unions. The Governmental Affairs Conference is coming up in early March, and really doing this in preparation for that event. And then, of course, as you're thinking about this in terms of what does this mean for my credit union, what am I going to take back to the leaders and the volunteers that lead our credit union, really want to help you understand what this might mean for strategic planning initiatives. So going to plug just a couple of credit unions out in Nebraska. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. What we did with CUCollaborate here at CUCollaborate was last year, we're like, we really want to be able to figure out how do we support credit unions' data uploads to Project Zip Code. And we were like, well, we take in credit unions' Aries files, and in those files contains all the data that we might need for submitting data on a credit union's behalf to Project Zip Code. And so why not help credit unions do that and support an initiative that is near and dear to our hearts, as well as it's near and dear to credit unions' hearts. And so we piloted this with the Nebraska League, so shout out to my Nebraska folks out there, last year, and figured out how do we do this, and what is this going to mean as far as impact is concerned. And so thanks to those credit unions in Nebraska who were part of that pilot initiative, we figured out that process and now are operationalizing it so that credit unions across our other league partners as well as our clients can take advantage of what we do here. And we're looking to partner more and more so with leagues and credit unions across the country to be able to do this. Just a quick testimonial, a couple of testimonials. Thanks to Trius. I'm not going to really go through these in too much detail, but the point being, we had some really great results as it pertains to figuring out what this process looks like. I will tell you what that process looks like here in a moment. But credit unions really were appreciative of it, of the collaboration between our organization, but more importantly with the league, and the league's really focusing in on how do we boost these numbers as it pertains to this critical advocacy initiative. And so thanks to all the credit unions again who were involved in that pilot that pilot program. And yeah, it was met with some pretty interesting and insightful nuggets that I'll share in just a second. So Before I share a little bit more about some of the things that we do on Project Zip Code and how to do it, wanted to share with you some real world examples of what we're doing here and why you might want to look at doing this with CUCollaborate in your league. So I'm actually going to take down my slides here in just a moment and pull up a real world example of the impact reporting that we do. And so for your efforts of submitting data for the purposes of Project Zip Code, we will also help you with a customized impact report. So if you're a credit union, we'll provide to you, this is a snapshot of a PDF that you can export from our Analyze CU impact report dashboard. I'm going to actually show you the real version of this in just a moment. But kind of in short, we're trying to help you with some of the biggest data points that might help you with this conversation. So, for example, this particular credit union is American Federal Credit Union, and they have a wonderful story to tell, which I'm going to help share here in a moment. I'm actually going to pull up a live version of what they do. Hang on just one second here for me. Awesome. All right, so when you log into CUCollaborate for, maybe you're uploading data for Project Zip Code, or maybe you're a client of ours and you're interested in taking a look at some of the things that we offer to credit unions as a part of our advocacy efforts here. This is American United Federal Credit Union. Like I said, they are a credit union out of Utah, and I've been doing some really great work in their community. And so this credit union is about $373 million in assets. And right here is their annual member benefit per member at their credit union. So put another way, $468 is the amount that they basically extend out in benefits to their member per each member a year, as a result of kind of focusing in on doing the wonderful things that they do. And so these guys have been really focused on providing inclusive lending solutions, and currently boast about a 2.79% average interest rate differential compared to that of their competitors. So this is really showcasing how they are differentiating themselves in the lending space and serving the needs of their members, especially as it pertains to their borrowing. This can then be a way that we talk about people helping people, right? So what does that mean to the average consumer? If you can tell them that you extend, can help them save $468 a year just by being a member at your credit union, what a great story to tell, right? So this is their live dashboard, and as you scroll down, this is an exportable report in a PDF, and you can look at benefit by account. We go down to the account level. The way that we get this number is essentially taking your deposit and loan interest rates and calculating them as it pertains to how they stack up against average banks in the country or in a particular geography, right? And so on average, this credit union saves their members $468 a year compared to the average national, the national average, excuse me. Do that aggregate there, and then we break down some other data points. We have a connection we pull in data from the Census Bureau. We pull in the 10-year Census Bureau data, as well as the annual American Community Survey data, to provide kind of like how your credit union is serving your membership through various different data points, how you're reaching rural and economically distressed areas, your spread of median household income across membership, median credit score as it pertains to peer and tiers, and then how you're serving various different communities, and so as it pertains to race and ethnicity. As I mentioned, this is exportable. The one thing I do want to share on this particular screen is as you're having conversations with legislators, if you're leveraging this system, you can actually select the geography. So all geographies in this case is the country. If, let's say, you're going into a conversation with a local legislator, you can actually drill down all the way to state legislative districts in here. And so this will give you a hyperlocal way of telling your credit union story, how many members are in, like, let's say, a congressional district here. I'm just going to use this as an example. District 01, and we'll take, let's say, Utah. This credit union is in Utah. So if I do this, it's going to start calculating now. What does this impact within a very local community, right? So if you're going into a conversation with this legislator who serves constituents in this congressional district, right? Wouldn't it be nice for them to know exactly how many people they serve, maybe that your credit union serves? So right now, talking about this in terms of total consumers, so they can go in and say, hey, we serve 1,500 credit union members in your area. We save them on average, about $360, $370, let's say, dollars by being a member at our credit union. What a great way to exemplify the people helping people model, right? So just to kind of like summarize some of the things that I've been going through here before I take this down and go back to my slides is, if you are a credit union at a league partner of ours or a client of ours, or just interested in leveraging our platform to submit your credit union's data over to Project Zip Code, we will in turn also provide to you this report so that you can, again, take and craft to your own liking and export this information and walk into your legislator's office and say, this is why you need to support what we do at our credit union. Many of you are, especially those at the league partners that we currently have, and I'm happy to expand more on that. We can help you look at deeper insights on your demographics. So that's the impact report. You will also have access to some of the demographics dashboards that we have if you are an affiliate of our league partners. So you can look at some of the core demographics in here for uploading your data. Race and ethnicity, language spoken at home. We can show you income distribution. We can show you housing, educational attainment and health, work. And if you submit date of birth, we can show you kind of like age disbursement, et cetera. So all of these dashboards that you have at your fingertips for submitting for the purposes of Project Zip Code were dashboards, and they're data points that were asked that we incorporate into these visuals to better help you understand some of the things that you're doing around maybe strategic planning. Like, hey, we would love to focus our efforts on reaching lower income individuals. Hey, we would love to maybe focus on reaching more students. We hear a lot on figuring out how do we, actually there's another one in here that's around veteran status. How do we reach veterans within our community? So figuring out, one, who your veterans are, who your members are, crafting personas around the current members that you have so that you can start to obviously develop a benchmark, but even more pertinently, start to move the needle on the various different strategic initiatives that you have. And so, as I mentioned earlier, talking about kind of like the next additional benefit here is when you're focused on these stories for advocacy purposes, definitely also use this data for purposes of moving the needle at your credit union, figuring out what do we do next, using this for growth initiatives, branding, marketing, you name it. I'm going to go ahead and pull down this and get back to my slides here. I showed you a real world example of the demographics here. If you are a member at sorry, I should say at a credit union affiliate at our one of our league partners, you will have access to a pre-qualification report for CDFI. And so I'm not going to delve too deeply into this. One thing I do want to talk about as it pertains to advocacy is if you are CDFI certified and focused on lending, this should be a large component of your story, right? And so that is a critical piece to helping our legislators understand the why around supporting you. One piece of, it's not on this slide, but one piece of information that you should know is, credit unions actually are in many metrics like leading the way on some of the CDFI initiatives and efforts. And so if you are CDFI certified or seeking CDFI certification, or just focused on serving low-income target populations and these areas that serve lower-income individuals, incorporate that into your story. Tell them about what you're doing there and the intention that you're building around those practices, so that they can fully understand what it is that you're doing to impact that community. So for the sake of time, I did want to kind of just make sure that we cover some of the logistical items around data uploading, and happy to share some kind of like real world examples on this too. So as I mentioned, we went through a pilot with Nebraska, and then we're doing a full campaign with Nebraska and our credit union league partners in New York and cross state. Any of our league partners, you can ask me offline who those are if you don't know. Please do reach out, and we'll drop my meeting link in the chat if you want to meet, or you can just email me to ask about if we are partnered with your league. We figured out how to send data over to project zip code and make sure that your membership numbers are getting processed for this initiative, as well as counting toward your state or region's numbers. So first things first, if you are a client and or an affiliate of a credit union league partner of ours, you do have access to a profile on our site. You can go to CUCollaborate.com, and we can actually share the link to this as well here in a moment. If you don't have a profile yet, you can click on this sign up link at the bottom here, and it'll give you an opportunity to register for a profile, and we will turn that around as soon as possible. Give us 24 hours, but generally speaking, you should get a link pretty quickly. Once you have a profile set up, you are going to want to do a few different things. So I'll share with you where you can go into, this is again, real world example. So once you're logged into your profile, you can go to My CU Data, and then upload. There should be an upload button available to you, and it'll give you about 4 different options for ways in which you can submit your credit union's data. There's about a 3-step process to uploading. One, because this is run on the Aries file, we are very, very conscientious of the sensitivity of your membership data. This is going to be a chance for me to plug the fact that we are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, and take data security as one of our #1 things that we focus on. If your credit union needs more documentation on that, please do let me know. So as you're looking at upload, the first component of uploading your Aries files will be data encryption. We do not want your credit union sensitive information. So we actually have an encryption tool that encrypts very sensitive information like social security number. We will tokenize. We want to be able to track your individual member with a unique identifier, so that you can see these insights. However, we certainly do not want to consume your social security numbers of your credit union members. So that is step 1. And then step 2 is uploading your encrypted file into our platform. Step 3 is just mapping some of your loan products and deposit products, so that if you do want these insights you can see them and track them, monitor them, etc. If you want your impact report, again, you'll want to map your data, so the loan and deposit type products that you have, and then we'll spit out this member benefit score to you. Pretty easy. Happy to help in that process. Here's kind of what the phases look like. So if you indeed do want to participate and you are not currently participating, confirm your participation, obviously. We mainly just need, if you are a member, affiliate of a league partner of ours or a client, we just need to confirm that you are consenting to submitting data on behalf of your credit union over to Project Zip Code. And I will send documentation on that here after our call. It's really just a email response back to kind of like a submission, or sorry, a paragraph that says like you consent to allowing us to share data to Project Zip Code. Once we figure that out, then you wanted to identify who's going to process the Aries file, map that data, and make sure that we know that we need to process your file. Once you have uploaded your file and we know about it, we will then put it into the queue of submitting to Project Zip Code. We will take on that next step, which is getting it over to Project Zip Code and making sure that your numbers are incorporated into your states and regions legislative districts. And then we will confirm completion with our credit union. So we will then, kind of the last little piece of this is we'll confirm with your league if they're a partner of ours, we'll confirm with you, and then we'll review with you, especially if you want to look at maybe some of the insights that you're finding on your impact report in more detail. Happy to go through that, and certainly want to let your league know that whether or not they are a formalized partner of ours, that piece isn't as critical, but really wanting to let them know, hey, should have up-to-date and current numbers for Project Zip Code. We want to keep it as easy as possible for you. It's definitely one of the biggest value propositions that we have here. If you're struggling or concerned about bandwidth, and Project Zip Code is just like another thing on your task list of items to do, please do reach out to us. We'd be happy to help with data upload in that capacity. And then, of course, on some of the insights that we're providing to credit unions around your member benefit. When we're talking about our story, I think the main things to think about here are how do we tell our story through the data that we have to support our advocacy initiatives. And so, for example, the American United Federal Credit Union example is just one. We have, 45, 46, 4,700 credit unions throughout the country that all have a story to tell. And as we kind of continue this fight for the credit union model and our tax exempt status, all these things that we need to support and protect as a part of credit unions, think about how you're going to leverage your data to tell that story and to drive home the importance of supporting credit unions at the legislative and the advocacy level. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and take down my slides here and open it up to comments, questions. Happy to dive more deeply into any of the either dashboards or things that we do, the data. I'm going to go ahead and take down my slides here. Hang on one moment. All right, so I'm going to take a look. Okay, awesome. I see some comments coming through the chat here. Fantastic. Yes. So I do see a note. So if you are not, if you are a client of ours, yes, absolutely. Please reach out, and I will let you know how we can go about doing this. Amy, we'll plan to connect here. Right now, we have formal partnerships with Cross State, Connecticut, New York, Nebraska, of course, and have been doing plenty of things in Montana and been supporting a lot of the efforts in Utah. And I apologize if I'm missing some off the top of my head, but if your credit union's lead was not listed there and you're a client of ours, please let me know. Happy to help with creating these reports, as well as processing, exploring how we can process project zip code data over to support your league's efforts. And if you're not a client of ours and I did not list a league, please do still also reach out. I'd be happy to help figure out how we're going to make sure that you can get your data over to project zip code. Okay, and so I did have kind of an offline question come through, and I kind of covered this briefly, but I think it's really important to drive home is data security. You know, it's probably, if not the number one concern for credit unions and credit union leadership. But as I mentioned, happy to share anything that's going to support you feeling confident and comfortable with participating in this initiative, in this project, by providing certainly our SOC 2 Type 2 audit report, which we maintain on an annual basis, as well as any other due diligence items that you might need from us. Oh, great question. Yes. How often do we need to upload Aries files to support, specifically to support Project Zip Code? Thank you, Mary. So for purposes of Project Zip Code, right now we're going on kind of like a biannual cadence. I would say the biggest item, if you're going to do it, is as we ramp up to GAC. We're currently actually working through data processing for credit unions as we speak, for, again, the purposes of the big governmental affairs conference coming up in March in DC. So if you're going to do it once, definitely before then. And we are hoping to have all files processed a week and a half or so before GAC. GAC is March 2nd. And I think we had, at least on my calendar, kind of that February 21st. So yeah, if you could, please do reach out to me directly if you have interest in this as soon as possible. And we would like to wrap this up so you guys have reports to bring to legislators by the time you're already heading out to GAC. We are also happy to help with credit unions. I know many credit union leagues still sponsor like Hike the Hill efforts in the fall. And so we have been supporting credit union league efforts on that front as well. So eventually we will get to probably a biannual cadence, but if you're going to do it one time in a year, please essentially do it now. But yeah, we'll continue to do this throughout the year though, and happy to support any data needs on that front as it pertains to projects of code at any point. The last thing I'll just mention on that, impact reporting. So even clearly, we're talking about project zip code here. Obviously, a benefit of leveraging some of our systems that you will get some more deeper, you'll get some deeper insights around impact reporting. And so I know many of our credit unions have a monthly upload process cadence for their Aries files. Some credit unions do it weekly. That part is up to you, obviously. But especially if you're using this for purposes of benchmarking, tracking, strategic planning, and just, maybe it's, I know there's a couple of credit unions looking at like product development and are we moving the needle on serving members in this particular area or this segment of our membership? That's going to obviously affect when you're processing your Aries files. But when it comes to project zip code, right now we're committing to kind of like a ongoing process. Would love to have data in before GAC this year if you can. That's a lengthy response, sorry. Other questions? Thanks, Pete, for sending in the meeting link for me. That is a direct link to me. I'm also going to just drop my email into the chat as well. If you want to just shoot me a quick email, we can go offline there. And then, yeah, the last thing I'll just mention here before we give you some time back in your day is please don't hesitate to reach out, but we will have a follow-up email with slides as well as the recording of this webinar and contact information. So if there are no more questions coming through, I will be happy to give you 15 minutes back in your day. Thank you so much for joining us for our advocacy focused webinar for today, and looking forward to working with many of you on into the future. Thanks, everyone.